What's up guys, it's Endymion, and today it's time for the final video in the Iceberg Explained series for BioWare's fantasy RPG series, Dragon Age. Today it's all about my personal favorite game in the series, and in this video I'll cover fun facts and Easter eggs you may or may not know. So please enjoy and watch in full and let me know what you think. And now let's begin the Dragon Age Inquisition Iceberg Explained. Did you know that everyone's favorite Qunari, the Iron Bull, was originally supposed to be a woman? The idea was scrapped, of course, maybe because there was already too many female companions, but it's interesting nonetheless. However, it has been teased that we will have a Qunari female companion in Dragon Age 4, so that's good to know. Cole was originally meant to get possessed by Corypheus during the final battle and would be forced to fight the Inquisitor. But the logistics behind this happening weighed on the Inquisitor having Cole on their team in the fight, and BioWare decided against it. Speaking of cut content, originally BioWare wanted to introduce a real-time strategy gameplay mode to Inquisition, where players would be tasked with overthrowing castles and leading giant hordes of soldiers into battle via a sort of StarCraft-like way of gameplay. Unfortunately, this was cut, which I'm actually kinda bummed about. I would have loved to see this. During the Here Lies the Abyss quest, the hero of Ferelden, as in your Grey Warden from Origins, was meant to be the character that teamed up and helped Hawke and the Inquisitor. This was unfortunately cut because BioWare realized they'd have to remake assets like tattoos and certain hairstyles and such from Origins into Inquisition's engine for this single moment. Still, this would have been amazing had they done it. I covered this in my Dragon Age 2 Iceberg video already, but Hawke, the main character from Dragon Age 2, was originally meant to be the main character of Inquisition. But due to the reception and sales of the second game, this was ultimately scrapped in favor of the Inquisitor main character being created. Did you know that fan-favorite characters SOLAS and the warrior CULLEN were originally meant to be bisexual love interests, but due to time constraints and the development problems with Frostbite led to this being ultimately cut? Speaking of Frostbite, Inquisition was notoriously well documented by BioWare as being absolute hell to bring to life. See, Frostbite, which is owned by EA and it's developed by DICE, the people that made Battlefield, they actually forced BioWare to use the engine, which was not meant for third-person RPGs. And they did this simply because EA didn't want to pay any licensing fees. This led to BioWare having to figure out how to make an open-world action RPG game in an engine meant for first-person shooter games. Not only was Frostbite hell to work with for BioWare, the game was revealed after its release by unnamed BioWare developers that they secretly wanted Inquisition to fail to show BioWare's higher-ups that the insane amount of crunch and forceful push to use Frostbite couldn't work in the long run. But this spectacularly backfired. And by backfired, I mean Inquisition didn't fail. Instead, it became BioWare's second most successful launch of all time, only beaten by Mass Effect 3. The game went on to sell roughly, as the making of this video, around 6 million units since its release. However, it doesn't stop there. Inquisition was not only a commercial success, but a critical one too, because the game ended up winning multiple awards across the industry, including multiple Game of the Year awards at places like the Game Awards, for example. So unfortunately for those disgruntled BioWare developers, Inquisition was actually a runaway success. Speaking of things that could have been, originally BioWare was planning to allow the Inquisitor to be capable of becoming the Divine. And as the lore states, only women can become divine, but BioWare wanted even a male Inquisitor to be capable of this. It would be even more insane if you played, for example, a male Qunari. All of this eventually was let go since BioWare realized they really had to bend the game's narrative and lore to make this happen, and ultimately, it was abandoned. Yet again, speaking about the Iron Bull, did you know that he was originally meant to have his left hand missing and would instead fight with a prosthetic arm? This left arm would have been customizable and allow the Iron Bull to use things like an arm that literally shoots cannonballs or blade hands, but this was ultimately scrapped, of course, in favor of a badass eye patch and a big-ass two-handed sword instead, which I'm okay with. This one's pretty cool, but BioWare actually held a contest for fans to create items for Inquisition before it came out, and 4 items in particular won. They're named in-game Andraste's Sacrifice, the Cat's Stamps, Kitty's Collar, and Malika's Guard. Congrats to the people who came up with these things. It must have been super dope to see them in-game. Did you know that Vivian, the Ice Queen of Glamour herself, was originally meant to be a white-skinned, blonde-haired councilwoman who would help the Inquisitor during the campaign? Thankfully, this was changed and Vivian was redesigned. Honestly, I think Vivian's design and overall look and character to be one of the coolest parts of Inquisition, so good on BioWare for doing this. Did you know that Inquisition is such a big game that you can actually fit the entirety of Dragon Age 2 into just the Hinterlands area in Inquisition? Isn't that insane? God, I love this game. Also, did you know the plot of Inquisition is actually a retrofitted version of a cancelled expansion for Dragon Age 2 called Exalted March? And the codename for Inquisition during development, by the way, was Blackfoot. According to the developers, Inquisition has roughly 88,000 lines of recorded dialogue and almost, this is insane, 1 million voiced and written words in the game. Just imagine the spreadsheets and keeping track of stuff for this game when developing it. It's just insane. No wonder it was a nightmare to make. This next one's a really nice nod to Mass Effect. During the war table sections of the game, Cullen, one of your advisors, will say if he can come back later because he needs to calibrate the trebuchets. This is obviously a reference to fan favorite character Garrus Vakarian, who always needs to calibrate something on the Normandy. If you have Varric on your team while in the Exalted Plains, near one of the bridges, Varric will say sarcastically, before anybody suggests, no, nobody's throwing me across. This is actually a reference to Gimli the Dwarf from Lord of the Rings, which Dragon Age obviously takes major inspiration from. This one's really cool, but Cole actually has a ton of lines where he recites things about characters from other BioWare properties. For example, Cole can randomly say things like, "It always had a soul, the question is the answer," which is a direct reference to Legion from Mass Effect 2 and 3, who famously says the line, "Does this unit have a soul?" Another is, "He was their enemy the whole time, but she made him forget so he could change," which is a reference to a certain someone in Knights of the Old Republic, which I don't want to delve deeper into for story reasons in case you haven't played that game yet. Cole also has lines referencing the movie Fight Club, the character Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, and even Schrodinger's cat, to name some. Cole is super dope. I love that character. In the main mission, What Pride Had Wrought, if the audio is reversed, you can actually hear Mythal, the elven god, chanting the calling of the Darkspawn. I'll link a video in the description if you want to watch and hear the whole thing. It's really cool. And finally, here's a fact about Inquisition, and well, me. Dragon Age Inquisition is my favorite game in the series. I found its story, world, characters, and gameplay to be the most interesting and fulfilling out of the entire series. Which I know some may disagree, but that's fine. The game felt like the Avengers Endgame of Dragon Age games, with characters from the previous 2 games all assembling together like medieval Avengers to take on a big bad enemy and his army, sort of like Thanos or something. Unfortunately, you don't snap Corypheus away with a golden gauntlet, but the game is amazing regardless. That scene when you're in the cold and everyone starts singing "The Dawn Will Come," dude, that scene gives me absolute chills to this day. I love this game to pieces. Dragon Age Inquisition is, in my opinion, a once-in-a-generation kind of game, a masterful epic that I've cherished for years and love to this day. So here's to the Dragon Age series, some of the best fantasy storytelling and world building that can be had in gaming. Well guys, that's the video on Dragon Age Inquisition. Thanks for watching, and thank you for the support on the Mass Effect and Dragon Age Iceberg videos. It means a lot. My next video will likely be a historical video about something BioWare inadvertently helped create, and you won't believe what it is. So please, subscribe and like the video to give my life meaning, share it around too, and thanks to my patrons for all their support. I'm Endymion, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.